Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we'll explore what Neomorphs are. One of the most terrifying, fascinating, and mysterious creatures in the Alien franchise, Neomorphs appear in the movie Alien: Covenant. These parasitic creatures share some similarities with traditional xenomorphs or the XX-121 xenomorph. They are the result of the black goo or pathogen, also known as the xenomorph virus. This pathogen infected an entire ecosystem on Planet 4 and a colony of engineers, due to their terrifying life cycle, which begins as spores emerging from mushroom-like sacs, and the speed at which they infect and develop inside their hosts. Neomorphs are considered one of the most dangerous and horrifying monsters in the Alien universe. Additionally, they are carnivorous predators that seek to consume any living being they encounter. In this video, we will delve into the origins of Neomorphs in the Alien universe, their physical appearance and unique characteristics, their life cycle, their connection to the black goo or pathogen, their abilities and weaknesses, and the inspiration director Ridley Scott used to conceptualize them. Neomorphs are a parasitic alien species that share some characteristics with the XX-121 xenomorph, as they are a subspecies or variant of these creatures. Neomorphs have elongated heads and incubate within their hosts' bodies. However, they exhibit much wilder behavior and notable differences compared to traditional xenomorphs. Two Neomorphs were encountered by the crew of the Covenant ship while exploring regions of Planet 4, where a colony of engineers was located. The Neomorphs emerged as a result of the combination of the pathogen or black goo with the local ecosystem. This liquid, deliberately released to destroy the engineers, contaminated the flora and fauna of Planet 4, mutating specific plants. The black goo, designed not to destroy a planet's flora, triggered a mutation that created a new species of fungi, which appeared as small black sacs scattered across the planet's soil. When disturbed, these sacs release microscopic airborne spores called motes. These motes infect living organisms through orifices like the nose, mouth, eyes, or ears. Once the spores infect a host, they enter the bloodstream, where a neomorph begins to form. The creature grows inside the host until it emerges violently, tearing through the victim's skin or organs. This process is similar to a xenomorph breaking through its host's chest, although the neomorph's exit point varies depending on how the host was infected. Moreover, this process is faster, more violent, and more brutal by comparison. The neomorph's appearance and physical traits vary depending on the infected organism. When born from a human host, the creature has 2 arms and 2 legs and initially adopts a quadrupedal stance, similar to the runner alien. However, as it grows, the neomorph transitions to a bipedal posture. Neomorphs have a bulbous head that changes into a more elongated, pointed shape as they grow. Their skin is white and pale, though it can sometimes have a grayish hue and displays translucent qualities, resembling the skin of the hammerpedes seen in Prometheus. This connection makes sense, as both neomorphs and hammerpedes originate from the same black goo, making them, in a way, more pure creatures. Neomorphs possess a fleshy tail with a blade-like tip, which they can use as a lethal weapon to slash and dismember their victims. They also have sharp teeth within a circular mouth that closes completely. Interestingly, neomorphs show variations among themselves. For instance, one neomorph that emerged from Ledward's body had sharp spines or spikes on its back, which helped it break out of its host. Curiously, another neomorph lacked this feature. The neomorph's blood is thick and yellowish-brown in color. Like traditional xenomorphs, their blood is highly acidic. As for their behavior, neomorphs are more wild and aggressive compared to normal xenomorphs. We can even see that when they are first born, these creatures are incredibly violent and attack any living being they encounter. Their animalistic behavior suggests that they are not as intelligent as xenomorphs. However, they do possess some intelligence, particularly in their adult stage. This behavior is evident when a neomorph kills Rosenthal. It acts stealthily, approaching her while she is tending to her wounds. When Rosenthal sees it, she tries to defend herself, but the neomorph kills her brutally, tearing her apart with its claws. Unlike common xenomorphs, neomorphs have a more organic appearance, as they lack the biomechanical features of the XX-121 xenomorph. An important detail is that neomorphs feed directly on their human prey, while xenomorphs typically kill them or capture them to impregnate them and produce more xenomorphs. This behavior of the neomorphs could be considered more primitive, as they act based on a selfish survival instinct, very different from that of the xenomorphs, who seek to preserve and propagate their species. Unlike xenomorphs, neomorphs do not have an extendable jaw or a second mouth for attacking. Instead, they have gums that can extend significantly, similar to the mouth of a goblin shark. An interesting feature is that the neomorph's teeth are not visible when its mouth is closed. In these cases, the mouth appears as a small hole located at the bottom of what would be its face. According to the android David, the black goo, also known as the black virus or pathogen of the engineers, has the primary purpose of not only eliminating the life forms it comes into contact with, but also creating hybrid parasitic creatures like the neomorphs. These creatures instinctively hunt and kill all forms of animal or botanical life in an area contaminated with the pathogen, essentially consuming all the flesh of an affected planet. It seems that the neomorph encountered by David detects that he is an android and not a human, which explains why it doesn't attack him. It's possible that David's calm and relaxed demeanor contributes to the creature simply observing him. Interestingly, xenomorphs do attack androids if they perceive them as a threat. Therefore, it can be concluded that neomorphs are not as intelligent as xenomorphs and do not always detect the dangers around them. An important detail shown in the short film following Alien, Covenant, released in 2019, is that a Weyland-Yutani investigator returns to the lab on Planet 4. In this short, the scientist tries to collect all the samples of the engineer's pathogen, along with specimens, experiments, and sketches by David. He also gathers all the information David obtained about the engineers, the black goo, and the creatures it creates. In this short, more information about the neomorphs is revealed. In a brief scene, the Weyland-Yutani computer analyzes specimens of neomorph heads, and it is mentioned that these creatures have an enlarged amygdala and an underdeveloped hippocampus. This explains why neomorphs are extremely aggressive, but also capable of complex thought. This could justify the behavior of the neomorph when it closely observes David, detecting that he is not an organic human and approaching him to analyze him. However, as mentioned earlier, neomorphs exhibit extreme aggression in most cases and do not usually act intelligently, despite having the brain capacity for it. The main advantages of neomorphs are their aggression, speed, and agility. They also possess sharp teeth, claws, and a tail that they can use to kill their victims quickly. Additionally, they have a well-developed olfactory system that allows them to track their prey over long distances. The weaknesses of neomorphs lie in the fact that they are not very intelligent. In addition, their organic, fleshy bodies are fragile, not as resistant as the exoskeleton of xenomorphs. For this reason, they can easily die from gunfire. If we dive deeper into the origins of the neomorphs and their behavioral characteristics, we find interesting details about their life cycle, their history, and how Ridley Scott developed the concept for these creatures. As I mentioned earlier, neomorphs begin their life as a type of fungus or spore sacs shaped like eggs. If these sacs are damaged or disturbed, they release spores known as motes. The motes seem to have some intelligence, as they seek to infect any compatible host. They are very small, but visible when grouped together. Through David's microscope, it is observed that these spores are actually a type of tiny insect. Once inside the host's body, the motes enter the bloodstream and inject eggs or ova that integrate into the infected organism's DNA. This causes the formation of an amniotic sac or placenta inside the host. There, the neomorph begins to develop rapidly. The infected host experiences a rapid and gradual deterioration of their health. Initially, they experience difficulty breathing, then vomit blood, and lose motor skills. About an hour after the infection, the neomorph completes its gestation process and violently emerges from the infected body. This amniotic sac is usually located in complicated places, making the creature's exit difficult. Young neomorphs are voracious carnivores and attack any prey they find while adapting. They reach their adult stage within hours. It is unknown whether adult neomorphs can produce more spore sacs or reproduce with a queen like xenomorphs. However, it seems unlikely, as neomorphs are designed to eliminate survivors from planets contaminated with the pathogen or black virus. The story of the Neomorphs is explored in the prologue of Alien, Covenant, the official novelization and additional material. After the attack on the engineer colony on Planet 4 with the pathogen, Neomorphs emerged as hybrid creatures after the ecosystem became contaminated. In David's laboratory located beneath the engineer temple, specimens in all stages of Neomorphs, including embryos, are seen. David uses them in experiments to perfect an ideal organism. The few surviving engineers were eventually infected and consumed by the Neomorphs. Over time, the Neomorphs died due to a lack of food, and the spore sacs remained in an inactive state, waiting for new victims. Meanwhile, David continued experimenting to perfect his creation. When the Covenant crew descended onto the planet, 2 members of the Weyland-Yutani security team were infected by the spores. Ledward through his ears and Hallett by inhalation. Both died brutally when the Neomorphs emerged from their bodies. The Neomorph from Ledward grotesquely emerged through his back, while the one from Hallett emerged through his mouth, developing in his lungs. The newly born Neomorphs briefly escaped into the forest, but returned to the wheat field, where they attacked the crew. One of them mutilated Daniels, but was protected by Walter, who managed to cut off the creature's hand. Eventually, David distracted the Neomorphs with a flare, saving the crew. Later, one of the Neomorphs killed Rosenthal in the Engineer Temple. Captain Oram killed it with his rifle before David could interact with the creature. The other Neomorph died after confronting the Protomorph just before the survivors escaped the planet. Ridley Scott commented that the Neomorphs are a more natural variant of the Xenomorphs. Their design was inspired by the Belugamorph from Prometheus, which evolved into Alien, Covenant. Although we never saw the Belugamorph in the films, Scott considered it a novel and disturbing concept. Finally, in 2017, NECA released a highly detailed collectible figure of the Neomorph, including 2 interchangeable heads. It is an excellent representation of the Neomorph's design, and is highly recommended for fans of these creatures. In summary, Neomorphs are terrifying beings with a fascinating design and behavior. Although they had a brief role in the film, I would love to see them return in a potential sequel to Alien, Covenant. Leave me your comments. Did you know about the Neomorphs and their origins? Which variant of the prequel Xenomorphs did you like most, and why? Share your opinion. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel for more content.